I've been practicing my whole life to live my life is to be responsible for what I do.
Tupac's murder has long been a mystery. The Hail Mary rapper died in Las Vegas in 1996, 6 days after he was shot in the chest 4 times at a stoplight by a gunman driving a white Cadillac. Over 25 years later, it seems as though his killer has finally been found and charged. Still, there are questions over who orchestrated the murder, with Diddy thought to be a prominent figure. In fact, it's been long debated whether Diddy had any involvement in Tupac's murder. In this video, we'll be aiming to answer this question. But before we get into it, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to watch us solve more hip-hop mysteries. The East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry, a bitter feud during the mid-1990s.
It's all a nigga knows, flipping on foes, putting tags on toes.
Pitted artists and fans from the East Coast hip-hop and West Coast hip-hop scenes against each other in the United States. Prominent figures included Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mobb Deep, otherwise known as Prodigy and Havoc, and more. But the conflict primarily revolved around East Coast-based rapper The Notorious B.I.G. aligned with Puff Daddy and their label Bad Boy Records in New York City against West Coast-based rapper Tupac Shakur, associated with Suge Knight and their label Death Row Records in Los Angeles. The first high-profile altercation and casualty of this beef came at Jermaine Dupri's party in Atlanta in 1995. According to long-standing rumors, Diddy's former bodyguard Wolf shot and killed Big Jake Robles, who was not only Suge Knight's bodyguard, but a close friend. In the aftermath of the fatal shooting at Jermaine Dupri's birthday party, tension subsequently flared between Suge Knight and Puff Daddy, spiraling into a feud that spilled onto the streets of Atlanta. At the time, Tupac was serving an 11-month sentence on sexual abuse charges. Knight's efforts to free Tupac post-Robles' death intensified Death Row's rivalry with Bad Boy Records. It wasn't long until Tupac was out, and the newly released Tupac unleashed a barrage of insults in tracks like Against All Odds and Hit 'Em Up, targeting Biggie and Bad Boy. Mobb Deep retaliated with Drop a Gem on 'Em, sparking a cascade of diss tracks. The media coined it a coastal rap war, fanning the flames as fans chose sides. But this was more than rap beef. Rappers involved would soon meet their demise. On September 7, 1996, Tupac Shakur fell victim to a drive-by shooting at the Flamingo Road and Koval Lane intersection in Las Vegas, Nevada. Shifted to the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, and he succumbed to his injuries 6 days later. Chuck Phillips' 2002 article, Who Killed Tupac Shakur, suggested the Southside Crips, seeking retribution for a prior assault by Shakur, orchestrated the attack. Orlando Anderson, the alleged shooter, was later dismissed as a suspect by Las Vegas police. 6 months after Tupac's demise, on March 9, 1997, the Notorious B.I.G. met a similar fate, fatally shot in a Los Angeles drive-by, the assailant remaining unidentified. Tragically, the dispute reached a grim climax with the drive-by shootings that claimed the lives of both iconic rappers. Despite the identification of several suspects, the killings of the B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur remained hauntingly unsolved, casting a shadow over the history of hip-hop. Until now. Nearly 3 decades on from Tupac Shakur's death in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas.
Hey Keith, Metro Police, come over here. Hey Metro Police, come over here, all right? Thanks, buddy.
Law enforcement has apprehended an individual linked to the incident. According to the Associated Press, Dwayne Davis, also known as Keith D., who has persistently asserted witnessing the shooting, was arrested on September 29, 2023. He faces a charge of murder with a deadly weapon and was denied bail by a judge. Davis orchestrated a vendetta against Shakur, according to law enforcement. But who is Keith, and what does he have to do with Tupac's death? In 2019, the Southside Compton Crip unveiled his life story in the tell-all memoir, Compton Street Legend. In the memoir, Davis recounted his ascent within the notorious South California gang, achieving the position of a shot caller and overseeing a multi-million-dollar drug empire that spanned the nation. Originating in Watts, California, Davis's family later settled in Compton, a once middle-class, family-oriented neighborhood for Black families, as described by the author. His father and uncle's lucrative win of $50,000 at the Agua Caliente racetrack in Tijuana, Mexico, equivalent to $1 million today, played a pivotal role in reshaping their lives, as revealed in the memoir. Davis painted a picture of his family's American dream, fueled by his mother's homemaking and his father's military background as a Marine from Virginia. The windfall enabled them to purchase a house in Compton and 2 new cars. However, Davis highlighted their challenges as the only Black family on their block in 1965. Over time, he observed the departure of white families, likening it to cockroaches fleeing when the lights were turned on, as recounted in his book. Davis, one of 12 siblings, experienced a childhood deeply entrenched in family bonds. Tragedy struck early as his mother succumbed to colon cancer in 1980 when he was just 15. In a cruel twist of fate, Davis found himself facing the same cancer in 2014, a battle he has since overcome. The grim shadow of mortality loomed over his family, claiming 2 of his brothers, one to cancer, the other to the streets of Compton, victim to a fatal shooting. Davis's early encounters with the tumultuous streets of Compton saw him crossing paths with Death Row Records CEO Marion Suge Knight, who himself was a Blood at the tender age of 9. As a teenager in 1971, he became entangled with the Crips, influenced by the prevailing trend in his neighborhood. Despite working at Compton College, Davis felt the pace wasn't swift enough, pushing him towards the allure of quick money through drug dealing, an opportunity he seized willingly. A stint in prison from 1985 to 1989 did little to reform Davis. Instead, it solidified his identity as a hardened gangster. The intricate web of Davis's life weaves together a tale of adversity, choices, and a complex dance with the forces that shaped him. So, what does Diddy have to do with all of this? Well, on November 1st in a Las Vegas courtroom, Dwayne Keith Davis shocked the public with revelations about the 1996 murder of renowned American rapper Tupac Amaru Shakur. Davis claimed that Sean Combs, the music entrepreneur widely known as Diddy, orchestrated Tupac's assassination. According to Keith D., Diddy had allegedly commissioned him to carry out the act against Tupac and Suge Knight, offering a substantial sum of $1 million for the task. Diddy's representatives refrained from immediately commenting on the startling allegations, maintaining a stoic silence. Diddy himself has consistently denied any involvement in Tupac's death, dismissing such claims as baseless and nonsensical.
That are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother.
Adding weight to Keith D's claims, James McDonald, formerly known as Mob James, and a figurehead from that era, affirmed hearing rumors about Diddy and others at Bad Boy Records putting a bounty on Suge and Tupac's heads. James, once a security enforcer for Death Row, shed light on the intense East Coast-West Coast rivalry between Bad Boy Records and Death Row Records during that period. He revealed that everyone involved had a price on their head amid the conflict. In an attempt to explain the motives behind the violent feud, James stated, Diddy was scared of Suge. New York wasn't going to come down there and try to find Suge. That would have never happened. So when it happened with Tupac, our side had to feel like, okay, we can't just let that one go. They was going back and forth tit for tat. So I believe that it got too big for Pac and Biggie because not one of them seen it coming. Not one of them thought it was going to come that way. And like I said before, Puffy was so scared of Suge, he had to put something, somewhere to get Suge out the way. James, now reformed and actively assisting younger individuals in exiting gang life, shared that many guys had bounties on their heads. Considering their background and the circumstances, they had to elevate their actions and adopt a similar approach. At that point, taking a life held no significance. Beating someone didn't matter. Nothing did. They simply did what they were supposed to do. Keith D had already provided statements to the LAPD in a proffer agreement in 2009, where he had outlined his involvement in Tupac's murder. These statements, however, can't lead to prosecution due to a legal agreement in place. The purpose of the proffer agreement is for the defendant to share information, whether written, verbal, or electronic, with the government that may be valuable in their case. It is explicitly stated that the agreement does not grant the defendant absolute immunity. The defendant is obligated to provide truthful and complete information related to the crime in question, withholding nothing. The agreement specifies that the statements made during the proffer session cannot be used against the defendant. However, if it is later discovered that the information given by the defendant during the proffer session contradicts evidence, arguments, or additional information obtained from third parties, those proffer statements can be used against the individual. Keith D., a former affiliate, informed detectives that Diddy, the renowned music mogul, contacted a gangster associate named Eric Von Zip shortly after Tupac's shooting to inquire about their involvement. According to a recording, Keith D alleges that he was happy when Diddy learned their entourage was behind Tupac's shooting. In a separate LAPD audio clip, Keith D asserts that Diddy paid the hit fee to Zip, who allegedly kept the money for himself. In his book, Compton Street Legend, Keith also claims that Diddy, then known as Puffy or Puff Daddy, ordered the hit during a day out in New York over pastrami sandwiches and pink champagne. Keith said Diddy told him, "I need to speak to you, big dog," and the pair went to the side to talk. He wrote in the book, "I'm able to smell and see fear." Puffy was full of fear. Keith then alleges that Diddy said, "I have a couple of problems I need to be handled. Big CEO, Suge Knight, and Pac." The gangster says he replied, "That's not a problem. We can make that happen." In the book, Keith explains Diddy had issues with Tupac after he released the diss track Hit 'Em Up, saying, "That song made Puffy mad." Tupac Shakur died on September 13, 1996, 6 days after a gunman in a white Cadillac shot 4 rounds in the chest at a stoplight in Las Vegas. Keith was apprehended during an early Friday walk near his outskirts of his Las Vegas residence, just hours before prosecutors revealed a Nevada grand jury's indictment. The self-described gangster faces 1 count of murder with a deadly weapon. The grand jury also endorsed a sentencing enhancement for gang activity, potentially adding up to 20 extra years to the sentence upon conviction. As for Diddy, he still hasn't been charged. Do you think Diddy will also be arrested, or will he get away with having any involvement? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell as we solve more hip-hop mysteries.